violence from you. We learned violence from you. The violence was what we learned from you. So if you want us to do better, then damn it, you do better.
All right, so I want to welcome my brother Michael to the show, and my brother Mr. Sam, Mr. I Can Do Better, Mr. LES United to the show. Fellas, y'all can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, so as you know, we've been pretty much dealing with this situation after George Floyd passed away, was murdered by these officers. And like, I just really wanted to get y'all perspective, y'all feelings on everything that's been going on, from the rioting to the looting to the continued police brutality. So I mean, yeah, so how exactly do y'all feel right now? Like, what is your state of mind right now? You know what I'm saying? It's been about a week. A lot of things have happened. You know what I'm saying? You had a chance to let everything sink in. So how do you feel about what's going on right now?
I feel like every voice needs to be heard. Everybody has to take some kind of stand. We all don't have to protest. We all don't have to riot or loot or do any of those things of that nature. But we should definitely take a stand and speak up for the injustice that's going on in our country. I feel powerful today because I was part of a protest that started on 8th Street in the Lower East Side. We walked over to PSA 4. Then we walked over to Police Plaza. And then we walked over the highway. I'm not sure where it ended. I separated. But I haven't seen that large a group of people in the Lower East Side in a very long time for a positive cause. And there were more Caucasians there than African Americans and Black and brown people. But it was still powerful. The message was sent. A lot of our people and a lot of our leaders stepped up and spoke. And I was originally part of a protest almost a month back to represent Donnie Wright, who was one of the first victims of selective enforcement of police brutality. And we started our petition against Officer Francisco Garcia. Garcia got to go. And we joined with Black Lives Matter. And we had a powerful movement a month ago. And our sister, Shahida Smith, actually said, what happened if they would have killed Donnie and a month later they kill our brother George Floyd, which is so unfortunate and has the country enraged. Everyone in every color, every race. It doesn't matter right now. Everybody's enraged. Everybody's hurt. Everybody witnessed murder on television. And enough is enough. And we're all stepping up. And it's beautiful to see everybody come together the united way.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Like, I definitely share your passion on this. And I definitely share your views on this, man, because, like, something has to change, man. I'm glad to see that people are uniting of all races and just coming together just to make something happen. And hopefully that there's a change, man. Hopefully there's a change. So, Mike, where you at with this?
Listen, I echo Sam's sentiment 150%. I think over the past week I've had an opportunity to have conversations with so many different people from so many areas in the United States, so many cultural backgrounds, and I've learned a tremendous amount about where people are, where their mindset is, and you know, I think unanimously we agree that what happened to George Floyd, I don't think anybody is saying that it was right or defending it or justifying it, but I do think in our response to this, we are taking a little bit of a different stance, right? Some people are doing it one way, other people are doing it another way. And so in my personal opinion, I think it's important for me to understand what's going on and kind of have as many of the facts as I can, because I think what we do here is significant, because whether we want to admit it or not, this will be in the history books come 30, 40 years. And Larry Ham is the chairman of the People's Organization for Progress in Newark, and he said it best, so I won't misquote him, but he said, on the dates that you're doing these protests and these you're having these encounters, right, where you're having this public outcry. We need to be able to look back on it in history and have done something that we can be proud of. So I think I try to approach this that way. And, I want to be able to tell anybody that I talk to that I'm proud of what we did here today. And when I say we, that's everybody. It's like Sam pointed out, this is not driven by race as far as, who's showing up. This has nothing to do with race when you're talking about who's standing in these protests. There's all types of people coming to these things and, showing up for their fellow American, right? So I think that it's significant to understand that this is everybody, and we all have a stance on this. And I think we could do a little bit better of a job of having the same idea to target really to really narrow down what we're attacking. But it's also beautiful to see that everybody has a different voice, and I've seen so many perspectives that I've learned such a great amount about what's really happening here and where people are getting their feelings from.
Okay, yeah, like I've seen, and I was actually part of one of your lives, and like Sam, get on Facebook, man, because his lives are very controversial, man. Very controversial. And like there was one person on his live that was just kind of upset with me because I'm black, she black, but I just wasn't agreeing with her. And I could see it in her comments and her statements. I'm like, well, I mean, what you want me to say? I can't just agree with you because, so. But if you get a chance to get on Facebook, man, yeah, follow him because it's definitely entertaining, if anything, because the people he has on. But so Mike, like the first protest you went to, that was your first protest, the one in Newark?
Yes.
Like, what was the vibe? What was the experience?
It was. There were people of every color. I mean, every color. It was. At one point, they were doing a dance together. That I don't know what it's called. I forgot what it's called, but damn girl, do you dance?
Yeah,
they were doing that
shuffle
in the middle of the street. Yeah, in the middle of the street. And I was like, man, like this is what this is about. Like people they're really just, and I think the significance of that. Before I start saying, oh, they're dancing, that's cool. The significance of that was that regardless of what we're here talking about, right? They were able to bring smiles to the rest of the protesters' faces by people that didn't even know each other, just stood in the middle of a crowd of hundreds of people, maybe thousands. And they were all doing something at the same exact time. And that was the tone they set at the beginning, before we set off to do anything, before we moved as a unit, right? And I think some of the powerful moments were when you get to an intersection and you see another group of people that are joining your movement come from another direction. And there's tons of these people that are just coming and they're kind of moving into your wave of people. And then you guys they converge, they come together, and then they start moving again. At one point, I saw a black gentleman standing in the middle on like a small plot of land, kind of looked like a partition. And he was just standing there with one hand in the air in a graduation outfit, cap and gown. And I saw that and I was just blown away because I was like, this dude doesn't have to say a word, but people understand exactly what he's doing here. And I think being that I've never been to a protest myself, I wasn't sure what protest etiquette was like. I'm thinking being ignorant that people are knocking into each other. It's body to body. People were so respectful to the rest of the protesters. I think at that moment it was true unity. People started to take a knee. Everybody started to follow suit to show respect, right? Of course, you had some people who were maybe doing certain things that were personal, right? Like messing with the cops or kicking cop cars, and that was their own personal, the way that they kind of wanted to conduct themselves, and I can't knock them for that. But that wasn't what the protest itself was endorsing. That wasn't what they were encouraging. But I think a huge part of the impact came at the end when the speeches started and they started to shuffle through the people that were communicating, and they really started to talk about what we were doing there and ways that we could perform through action, right? We all talk, but they were giving us opportunities to perform through action. And I think that was when it really closed it out in a wonderful way where people could feel like when I go home, I can do something. I can do something to be a part of this and to make change, to inspire change.
Okay, let me
So wonderful experience.
All right, cool. Yeah, let me get Sam in here. Let me ask him the same question because I know I was talking to you earlier, and we you had sent me a couple of videos, and I seen your Instagram live, and the Lower East Side was lit. Like I haven't seen that many people together in the Lower East Side ever, and it was a good look. And I know you kind of was staying away because of the whole COVID situation, so I know it was different for you to be in that situation where it's just surrounded by a bunch of people and not everybody's masked up. You know what I'm saying? But you got yours on, and you had explained that the only way to get really out of the crowd was to walk on the sidewalk. So, like, what was your experience like? Because from what it looked like, it was crazy.
Yeah, I didn't expect that turnout. Our first protest, it was a decent turnout, but it wasn't what it was today. And we were literally across the street from Jacob Reese Projects. I believe that's where you're from.
Yeah.
I've been trying to, practice my social distance, keeping my mask on, staying away from people, only going outside when I have to. And I've been avoiding New York and staying in Jersey for the most part. So at first I was like, damn, I'm part of the Lower East Side Advocates of Action. One of my representatives was actually speaking at the time. Obviously, I feel like I'm an LES reporter. I have to document everything that's powerful that's going on in our community. So I had to get them close. Originally, I wanted to stay on the outskirts, but it was a situation where there were so many people out there, which was powerful, but we couldn't really practice social distancing as much as we could. When we started moving, I chose to take the sidewalk to avoid people and to practice my social distancing. It was dope to see. I wasn't expecting the youth to speak, and one of our LES United alumni, Kareem Holmes Jr., actually spoke up for the young black youth of the Lower East Side and spoke about his experience with selective enforcement and saying that he was one of the lucky ones that was able to walk away. And that was so powerful. And it took so much courage for a young African-American man that's in college right now to stand up for the injustice. And actually, Donnie's related to him. That's part of the reason why he stood up. And I want to see more of our youth stand up and protest. And, I'm in contact with the youth all the time, and that's my passion. And I spoke to you earlier about YBC working on the track to speak out on what's going on. And it's like Mike said, and like we're all saying, it's beautiful to see everybody come together. We're learning so much about the history, and we're about to be part of history. We're all being educated, and we're educating each other, and we realize this is something special that's going to change the world and the view on the world. And that's why it's important for everybody to have a voice and have a stance,
Nah, definitely, man. Like, I'm just happy to see the community moving the way that it was, man. Like you would think that, and like you had mentioned, it was a lot of white people that were just there, and the tone that's been set across the country is that white people have been starting all the riots, and which I don't knock. Like, I'm not saying that that's not true, but it was just good to see that in this protest in the Lower East Side that none of that took place.
Yeah, super nonviolent, super peaceful. As many people we had there, super nonviolent, super peaceful.
Yeah, that was just great to see, man. Cause, like I can't really, like I got my personal thoughts on the rioting and the looting, but I had this conversation with you a little bit earlier, and you had explained certain things to me, and I kind of seen your point of view. But I still stand firm with the looting. I don't think it serves a purpose as far as the cause, as far as the message we're trying to put out right now. And that's just the fight against police brutality. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what this fight is really about. So when I see certain things, I feel like it's taken away from the message. Like, I know I'm gonna get backlash for saying it, but I mean, that's just truly the way I feel about it. It takes away from what this is really about. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, it's bigger than, it's about right now. It's about George Floyd, but it's bigger than George Floyd because this has been happening. So when you start doing things like stealing from stores and burning down local businesses, it just feels to me like that's personal. Like you're doing that for self. Like it's not like helping what we're trying to do right now. But I mean, so like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what are your thoughts on the rioting and the looting that's taking place right now?
We have to look at other cities like Newark and have our leaders step up. It's hard in New York City. Obviously, we're overpopulated. You know, people are going wild, but our leaders need to step up and speak up and educate those who don't understand the mistakes that they're making. You know, people are taking advantage, unfortunately, of the circumstances that we're all in. They're enraged, but it takes the voice of the leaders to really speak out and speak out on the wrong that's happening and educate people how to do the positives.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts on it, Mike?
So here's my biggest problem with the violent part of it. It is we can only reasonably expect more violence, right? And it's just a retaliation system. So the way that I think violent protest is successful is if it's meaningful to the population it's targeted at. So in this case, it would be police. So I don't see a correlation between burning buildings and stealing that would be significant and meaningful enough to police to inspire change. But I do see that would encourage retaliation, whether that be from business owners, whether that be from people who live in those buildings or own those buildings or what have you. And we've seen cases of that where, you know, people are being attacked either as a store owner for defending their store or vice versa. They're trying to attack somebody who's trying to do something to their store, and you know, they kind of take it a little far and they trail out into the public area away from their business, and it becomes kind of personal, and then they end up getting hurt. So I just don't. That's my biggest concern with the violence is just that it beckons the call for more violence, and I don't know that. I think that's the star of the show here. I think that's what captures the attention, regardless of what, you know, those of us who are focused are trying to do, and that concerns me because I think that's for anybody has decided has elected to stay silent or quiet. I think a lot of them are kind of coming out of their shell to comment specifically on the violence and the things that are erupting, and I think that's kind of productive to what we're doing here.
I mean, truthfully, Mike, I can't hold you. When I seen the police station burning, I was here for that, man. Like, I was with it. I can't, like, I don't know how, like, I couldn't really feel negative about that. Like, I was here for all that. Like, all right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's targeted at the right people. All right.
I considered it that way. I mean, if we get to the nitty gritty, taxpayers pay for that. Eventually, it comes back around, right? But here's my point of view on that, right? Because I do want to be fair. I don't want to comment on something and say that it's all wrong, and I'm not open to other people's point of views. I think that if as a community you are willing to forfeit your community's rights or your community's ability to use your tax money for something that you want, right? Even if you think that they're not going to, they now don't have the ability to because they now have something that's more pressing, like a police station to replace or police vehicles to replace. So if you're willing as a community to accept that risk and to forfeit your community's ability to use your tax money for something you want, then 100% do what you want. That's my current viewpoint on that. And initially, I will 100% admit, I did not feel that way. But considering all, you know, kind of where the backlash falls and where the chips fall when you consider everything, if you're as a community, if you're willing to give that right up, then I say if you guys agree on it or the majority of the community agrees on it, then that's your decision as a community.
I mean,
I can't knock you.
I don't think nobody's like really thinking that far ahead. Honestly, as far as money being used to rebuild the community, they're doing what they're doing now because they're angry. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's really thinking that far.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can't sign off on that because, as I said earlier, I think what we do here is extremely important. So you're never gonna get me in the impulse talk.
Yeah.
I just can't support that because we all have a choice, right?
Yeah.
You and I, Sam, we all had choices. We could go out there and act crazy just like everybody else and go steal from Flight Club. I would love to go get some free Jordans. But But I think what we do here is significant. I mean, I can't stress that enough. I think what we do here is extremely important to turn the tide and tell us which direction are we really going to go. Are they going to take us seriously? Or are they going to just say these guys are hooligans, these guys are these people are hooligans, these people are thugs, this movement is about violence, and we're not going to have it. And then they fight back that way. That's my concern. Is that's what comes from this? Is that we get taken like a joke because we're not behaving like humans. We're behaving like, animals or whatever people want to call us, right? Whatever. I know they said the president threw the word thugs out there, right? Like whatever they want to call us, it's just going to take away from what we're trying to do and how serious they take it.
So, I mean, Sam, do you think that it takes away from, the message? Like the rioting and looting? 'Cause I know me and you spoke about this a little bit earlier, right? And you had brought up, like, people are just fed up. People are just angry.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was watching ESPN earlier, and I like to hear from our sports leaders. And I believe it was Sterling Sharp. Sorry, not Sterling Sharp. Shannon Sharp. Sorry, Shannon Sharp. Right? He was talking to Skip, and he broke it down this way. Right? If you have a dog and you mistreat this dog and abuse this dog and continue to mistreat and abuse this dog for a long time, as an owner, this dog is going to attack you. And if you give this dog away to somebody that's going to love this dog and nurture this dog's been abused for so long, it's going to snap at even the person showing their love, right? In this case, black people, right, are the dog, and America are the owners that were abusing us. We're at that point where it's like, what else can we do? We don't care about any other people right now that's suffering. We've been suffering. And we want the country to know where enough is enough, and that's where we're at. I'm not personally not for it. I'm not doing that. I'm not putting my life on the line. I want to get back home to my family. But those who want to take a stance and take a risk, I cannot knock that. I don't know what's going on in their heart. I don't know what experience they have. I'm a man that suffered police brutality. I was a victim of it. Nothing was done. My voice wasn't heard. So I'm not going to silence anybody else. If looting is the way they feel like they're going to get that attention, so be it. That's on them. And I think the country understands right now. And we're coming together. It doesn't matter. What matters is charging those cops. The faster we charge those cops, hopefully we'll see the looting and all that stuff come to an end or slow down. If it continues after that, then we see that a lot of people are just being ignorant to the cause. But we want justice. We want all those cops charged. Every cop charged that did something like that. Let's see that. We see that happen. Let's see if that's going to make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, like I could see both sides of it. So, like I said, for me, I'm just not with it. I think it's counterproductive. And like Mike said, like violence brings more violence. And I just think that we're being seen in the light that they already painted us as being when it comes to the destruction of our own community and the opportunity to I guess take stuff from these local businesses and be okay with it. I think it just takes away. But I mean to each his own, man. Like at the end of the day, the message is out there, right? And there's no way for them not to hear us. So
they want America to make a choice right now. Either we're gonna destroy this country or you're gonna arrest those cops and charge those cops. Make a choice.
Yeah.
The country has to make a choice.
Nah, listen. You're 1,000,000% right with that. The country definitely has to make a choice. And like I truly feel that like the cops, like something needs to happen to these officers, and it needs to happen fast. Like they want to see a change. They want the rioting and looting to stop, the protests to stop, and you want us to be, I guess, less angry about what's going on and take our foot off y'all necks. Our feet off y'all necks. Then you need to stand up, uphold your end. Like you need to bring these cops in. Simple. Bring them in and see what happens. Because if you don't, then you just are pretty much saying, we don't care. Do whatever y'all gonna do. We don't care. And if that's the message that they gonna put out, then it's not gonna end. Like I don't see an end near. Like That's one of the questions that I had. Like, do y'all see end anywhere in sight? Like,
Mike, you can take this one, Mike.
No, I don't see a end, and the reason why is because I think this is only the center of the matter right now. I think this is the focal point. It's police brutality, but I think it's deeper than that. I think we can get into a whole bunch of stuff in regards to kind of our government and what we perceive to be true about, you know, the way that they feel and the way that they have kind of shifted the tide to make it or to contribute to it being this way. So I think from here, I think we put all the cards on the table. I think from here we just trail into different, and we just target different problems that we have related to whether it be police brutality or if we trail into the treatment of our black men and women in America. And I think that that's through, I mean, a lot of things really. I think that there's a lot of hands in that, and I think we need to cover all the bases. And I've heard that from a lot of people. Like I said on my lives, I think there's a few agendas here. The prominent two that I see are police versus the people and black versus white. And so I think we're for the most part tackling police versus the people right now. I think that's the major message that's really resonating here. But I think black and white is right there behind. And I think that that's something that's going to have to play itself out. Whatever that means for the country, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know how we combat black versus white, right? I have ideas on how we can try, right? We can make some stride, but I don't know how we get rid of it as a whole. I really don't have that answer.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna take a while. Most of these, it's not our first time doing this. Obviously we're going through a pandemic, so it makes it tough. I see that it may come to an end, but no time soon. As long as we have this pandemic going on and we still have footage of the police officers handling themselves the way they're handling it, as long as these officers are not charged, as long as we don't see more officers taking a stand and maybe even creating their own protest and, you know what I mean, not going in because they don't see the justice that's going in, you know, it's going to take something powerful like that to come to an end. If we get a group of officers saying, I will not work until justice is served, right? What if that happens, right? Our officers are so controlled by the country, they're so afraid to speak out. We don't have a lot of officers speaking out, you know what I'm saying, on what's going on because they're controlled. And that's how the system is set up. They're programmed. And it's hard, but no time soon, but I do think it will come to an end.
I want to add to that if I can.
Okay.
Like Sam was saying, I think at this point, America is hypersensitive. And what I mean by that is small things are going to be big things today because of what's going on. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to see the video, but there's a black FBI agent in civilian clothes.
Yeah, I just seen that video. And this is you know, this is happening post George Floyd, after, you know, the point where America puts its foot down, right? Well, we'll say one side of America, right? The side of America that's sick of it, is putting their foot down, and now you have this video that is almost undeniably some sort of racial profiling. Even after that happened, where the country is really, you know, we're fresh on the heels of this whole situation, and you still see this kind of stuff happening, and I think that'll just spark it, and you know, that'll ignite the fire again, and we'll just keep moving it forward. So kind of to what Sam was saying, I think as they continue to, you know, push this off and to not hold police officers accountable, I think that will just extend this much more. I think it'll open the wounds right up again. And like I said, hypersensitive in the regard that, you know, nobody was killed, thankfully, or even hurt, but he was being racially profiled. You know, maybe 6 weeks ago, that wouldn't have caused riots and protests, but today it absolutely will.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so like, actually, when I seen that post, I'm like, yo, like, this is me just thinking that the post was recent. Like, do they not understand the state of the country right now? Like, I definitely didn't see, like, any smarts on their part, if you will, because Like you're just and at one point the agent asked, he was like, so is this how y'all operate? Y'all just assume that somebody is somebody and that's it? And their supervisor was like, yeah, that's pretty much how we operate. Yeah. If we think you're somebody, then you're that person. And at one point he asked the arresting officer, he was like, so what if you're wrong? He said, well, then I'm wrong. Like they really have no regard, no remorse. They don't care. They don't care. And like it needs to change, man. Like just seeing that video, it was crazy. It needs to change. But have y'all seen the video of, this is just something funny I seen. Not that I condone it, but it was still funny. Have y'all seen the video of the person who stole the police horse?
Yeah, I have seen that.
Tag me on both those videos you just spoke about. I need to see that.
It was a good video, Sam. I won't lie. It was a good video.
Yo, it's like I don't want to laugh.
It was a good moment of laugh.
Yeah, it's funny though. It's like it's wrong, but it's funny because I'm like, one.
But you gotta be you gotta be a human as well.
Yeah, but all right, I got questions, right? Because one, it's, I guess this is me being naive or me racially profiling, but you a black man from the hood. How you learn how to ride a horse that quick, like on the fly? And
yeah, I mean, I definitely can't.
That's what I'm saying. And two, you're riding the horse while on IG Live. So that means you riding with one hand, bro.
Oh, he was live. It was the other people recording. That's
No.
a game changer.
Nah.
Selfie video on the horse, one-handed. That's talent.
He's on the horse, one-handed, IG Live. And I'm like, yo, I can't help but be like, yo, I like that. It's funny. Because I'm like, where did you learn how to ride a horse, bro?
Yeah. I mean, those are untold secrets that, some people have, that those small things that they know that we don't know they know.
It's the same thing as stealing a city bike. We figure it out, man. It's the same thing as stealing a city bike. We're going to figure it out. You leave it in the hood, too long, someone's going to take it.
All right, check this out. I know you're not you're not comparing stealing a city bike to stealing a horse, bro. Like, it takes talent to ride a horse. And he wasn't just moving slowly through the hood. He was riding. It was like that Kevin Hart skit when he hopped on the back of the horse and the dude looked around and was like, let's ride. Like, it was crazy. Like, he was going.
I need the footage.
Yeah, now you got to see it, bro. It was
I got to see it.
It's definitely something to see, man. Like I said, I don't condone it, but it was funny. It was different. I guess if you're going to go all the way. You know what I'm saying? So, but real quick, so, the ME's report came out, right? The independent medical examiner's report came out, and it pretty much rebutted the report of the first medical examiner. So, Sam, you read it already? You heard about it already, Sam?
No, I have no knowledge of this.
Nah, you heard about it, Mike?
Yeah, I did. I read the report. I actually did a video on it. I talked to somebody who's a forensics major.
All right, so what are your thoughts on it?
So I kind of just want to clarify it. And I got corrected here. This is the only reason why I'm clarifying it, is that it didn't negate the results that the county medical examiner put out, but it did not attribute. It didn't pat it down, right? So the county medical examiner came out and said, yeah, there's some evidence of this strangulation, asphyxiation, but we're going to talk about this other stuff as well. His medical history and maybe
underlying conditions. Yeah.
The independent medical examiner said, no, asphyxiation, strangulation. So they agreed on one part, but figuratively, the independent medical examiner hired by George Floyd's family did not pat it down and try to add some stuff into the pot like the county medical examiner did.
Yeah.
Now my concern with that, and I put this out to my audience, is that the county medical examiner works for that county. So is it possible that there's a bias? Absolutely. I think that's an absolute conflict of interest. However, on the contrary, with how big this situation is, globally at this point, right? We got people in Germany, New Zealand, you name it, that are in on this. Is it possible that the independent medical examiner felt a lot of pressure and didn't want to be that guy. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, I was definitely thinking that too. I was like, well, if he came back with the same exact, I guess, results or the same exact,
you're gonna get
diagnosis,
exactly what the county medical examiner is getting, which is a lot of hate.
Yeah,
so I considered that. That's what I weighed out. Was like, what's the right thing to do in that situation? You got biases on both sides of it.
Yeah, nah, definitely.
You know, you really can't get. It's so high profile. You can't get somebody without a bias. The whole world knows about what's going on, and nobody wants to be that guy. No, especially a doctor. No doctor wants to be the person to say, "Nah, it wasn't the cops." When we saw what happened.
Yeah, so I mean, like saying, like hearing what Mikey was just saying, like, can you agree? I mean, I know you already do, and I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna say the world, I'm not gonna say the country, because we do have some racists out here that don't care, one less black man to deal with, right? But do you agree that with this information coming out, that these officers need to be brought in ASAP? I know you felt this way before that, but now that this information is out from the independent medical examiner, that these officers just need to be brought in. They need to be arrested. They need to be charged.
I actually was watching television today, and I believe one of the officers that's investigating the case is a brother. And, you know, he said, you know, they're going to do their due diligence and make sure they take all the information that's needed to prosecute these guys. You know, they're going to look at everything at every angle. And I think justice will be served, right? America's on notice. It's taking too long, but I think justice will be served, and all four of those cops will be charged. I'm going to give it a couple more weeks, maybe 2 more weeks at max.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I could definitely get on board with that. A few more weeks, but I just think it just needs to happen faster than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the best, I guess, atmosphere, the best feeling right now. Like, everybody's up in arms, and even the so-called good cops are up in arms. And like Mikey, all right, so I had put up a post that me and you spoke about on your live. I had put up a post about like paraphrasing it, pretty much was stating it was talking about good cops, right? And it says something along the lines of if they're good cops, why are we out here protesting bad ones, or something like that.
Yeah,
It was something to that extent where it was pretty much saying, well, we wouldn't be out here protesting the bad cops if the good cops would. Yeah, if the good cops would step up. You know what I'm saying? So how do y'all feel about that? Because I know for me, it like that needs to happen. Like I seen the video today of an officer, a female officer, a black officer that stepped in when a white male officer decided to. It appeared that he mushed or smacked like a protester while she was kneeling, and she stepped in because she wasn't having it. And I think more of that just needs to happen. Like when you have cops that commit certain crimes, because there are laws and officers have to follow these laws too. Because for me, it's as simple as, and this is me just saying it's simple, even though I know it's more complex, but for me, it's as simple as you arrest a person, you put them in the back of your car, you bring them in for processing. Like all the extra punching and kicking and tasing when it's clearly not necessary is uncalled for. And this is why they have the bad rap that they do. And I'm not even saying that they don't have a tough job. They do. They have a tough job, but that's what they signed up for. So once you sign up for that job, you have to carry yourself in a certain manner. Because as you can see, right now, we're not seeing any good cops. We don't see anybody as a good cop because of the few bad ones. We don't see anybody as a good cop for the simple fact that the few so-called good cops weren't stepping up when they needed to. You know what I'm saying? So like how do y'all feel? How do y'all feel about that narrative? Like, because I feel like they're creating their own narrative. So how do you, like, what's your perspective on so-called good cops these days, man?
it's that code of blue. I've worked at community centers alongside with PSA 4 officers, right?
Right.
And I've been a victim of police brutality. So I know it goes both ways, but at the same time, we want to see them step up more. I seen a PSA officer today that work with the youth and mentor the youth and say that for the community. I haven't seen nothing on their personal page about this. You got to speak up. I've seen school safety speak on it, and even they're conflicted. You know, that code goes deep. It's not just cops, you know what I'm saying? Once you put on a uniform and a badge, you feel like you represent something, and it's tough. And it's not to shame them. You know, they take an oath. They do have a tough job. Some people instigate the situations, but right now is not the time for them to stick to that code. Right now is the time for them to speak up. The country's speaking up. We need more cops to speak up. We need more videos of cops of showing that this is out of control and is about to create anarchy in our country. Enough is enough.
Yeah, listen, enough is enough, man. Like, there's honestly, man, like, no matter what, I guess, different opinions we have, like, it's all gonna come to us agreeing on what needs to happen anyway. Whether we agree on the way people are protesting and rioting and looting, like, no matter, it all comes down to the same thing. Like, these officers have to be held accountable for the things that they do. And until we see that change, this is going to keep happening. The riots are going to keep happening. It may take time in between each incident, but it's going to happen again. And they need to understand that. And the fact that we have an idiot for a president doesn't help. It doesn't help. And I don't understand, like, what person of color could vote for this man. I don't. Sam, you kind of silent. You voted for Trump? You voted for Trump, bro?
I messed up. I don't even think I voted that round.
You don't think you voted? Listen, man, I'd rather you say you didn't vote than say you voted for Trump. Don't worry about it, baby.
I would never vote for Trump. Never.
I don't know. What color's that hat, man? Let me see the words on that.
Yeah, a lot of people. It says downtown. I'm repping my city. Downtown America, you can get your coffee on Jefferson Street.
All right,
Soul
cool,
Food
man.
Sundays on Sundays. Shameless plug.
I'm charging them for the plug, man. Word up.
Downtown of America on IG. Always repping my city. Always repping the lower. Elliot Strong.
Now, you one of the few, man, that you represent, like, every brand in the lower. Like, you have something from everybody that has a small business. I try to.
I'm a big supporter. Man. And I use my fashion to represent, especially hats. I have all kind of hats. I'm definitely going to represent my city with hats. If you make a hat, I'm definitely going to rock it. Mike,
you heard that? Make a hat. He's going to buy it. No matter what it is, just make a hat, man. All right?
My statements, you know, I'm repping a shirt, my sweater right here, Lower East Side University. I'm always repping the city. Always. Always making a fashion statement and a political statement at the same time.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Do y'all have any last words? Because we're about to wrap up this first episode, man.
I think same thing we did last time. I just want to thank you for the platform, honestly. Not a lot of people have the courage to even talk about this publicly because they fear, the response or what have you. I've gotten a response, right? Some people, it's like you said, some of my topics can't be controversial because there's opinions in it. There's far left, there's far right, and then there's the middle. So, but I think stuff like this is a step in the right direction, just to getting people thinking, so we can, use our education and what we know to figure out what to do here. How do we navigate these waters? Because history can tell us a lot, but we've never actually been here before. We've never actually staged this big of a movement. I anticipate this movement to be the biggest we've seen in the lifetime of the oldest person you could think of. Outside of, when you get into the 80s, people in their 80s, they were alive during the civil rights movement. But besides that, I think this is going to be a significant moment in American history and in the world history. So I think being able to have these conversations, and maybe somebody didn't consider the way that I looked at something or the way that Sam looked at something, I think that just being able to open their eyes up to that and show them that perspective, maybe they just haven't been saying their feelings the right way. So I think this is extremely important in helping people find their voice.
Okay.
So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you for coming on, Mike, man, for real. Like, I enjoy watching your lives. I enjoy, like, watching the people's comments. And I laugh at most of it. Honestly, I do. Because people, like, really upset and they kind of have no idea what they're even talking about. But they just be upset. Like, they just want a reason to be upset. So I kind of laugh at it. But yeah, like, you've been live every day for a few days now. So, I mean, on different topics. Same topic, but different areas of the topic. So, I would say keep doing what you're doing, man. All right? At the end of the day, it's giving people a platform to share their opinion on what's going
Absolutely.
on. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, everybody has an opinion. So, I just ask that everybody just try to be respectful of everybody's opinion, because most of the time you're going to agree to disagree. Sam, what's your last words, Sam?
My last words, I'll try to share a quick story. I did it the last time.
Okay.
Obviously, I was a victim of police brutality.
Okay.
So, one summer night, hanging out with my friends, typical teenage stuff in Lower East Side. I had a championship game the following day in West Forth. My homeboy Jeff decided to walk to the pizzeria with his brother, and he ran into another kid that he had problems with. They got into a fight in front of a bunch of detectives who could have diffused the situation, right, sent everybody home, but instead, they watched two young black men fight to the death, literally fight to the death. My brother Jeff fell to the ground. I ran to the scene, seeing a pool full of blood. I literally watched him take his last breath. I was super emotional. Obviously, they arrested the perp right then. Instead of putting him in the cop car like we've seen, they haven't been putting people in the cop car and taking them away. They left them outside. Of course, I'm enraged. I had a few words. They tried to grab me up. I told the cops to get off me, and they proceeded to put me in a dope fiend chokehold. They choked me out. I told them I wasn't resisting arrest. I allowed them to put their handcuffs on me with no resistance, and they proceeded to throw me on the floor, chest on the ground, and rub my face into the concrete while talking trash and trying to make an example out of me, right? Then they flipped me over and proceeded to choke me with two hands. I found out later that this was the sergeant, right? The sergeant that did this to me. All of this because I was emotional about a very close friend getting murdered in front of me. The first time I witnessed a murder in my neighborhood while I was getting ready to go to a championship game the following week. And 2 weeks from that, I was getting ready to go to college, away, and trying to get away from the hood and away from the situation, because I thought to myself, if I was in his shoes, would I walk away? Would I do the same thing? Would I be in the same predicament? And at that time, yes, I would have, right? Because my pride was everything. I'd rather walk in my neighborhood and in my community being looked at as a tough guy, a gangster, right? Somebody that's not no punk, than walk around being considered being soft or being considered being a pussy, right? And I say this to educate the youth because I have a strong following with the youth. You can walk away from certain situations and have your life, right? Yes, I had the right to be emotional, but the way I handled myself with that officer snatching my arm away could risk me losing my life, right? And, you know, obviously I do my events, I do a better events to honor certain people, right? To honor certain tragedies in our community. So I'm going to end it on this note, and I say this at the end of every speech. I could do better. You could do better. We could do better. The united way. Black Lives Matter.
My man,
Thank
Sam.
you. Opinionated Facts. Appreciate you. Opinionated Facts.
Well, you already know, man. Follow Opinionated Facts, man. I'm about to put this on YouTube. It's going to be on my Instagram. It's going to be on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think this podcast wasn't supposed to be about this, but, I mean, these are the events that are happening right now, and it's bigger than anything that I had planned. So, this is something that really needs to be touched on, and I got a few other people that are going to come on and speak their minds about the situations and current events, and it should just be a dope time. So I just ask that people just follow me on YouTube, follow my Instagram, and just tune in. And if you want to get on the show because you got something to say, you want to touch on any topic, just slide in the DMs, man. Just send something to the DM, and I could definitely get you on the show. Like, I think everybody's voice should be heard on this manner. All right, so
yeah, I think you'll see some of my following reaching out, trying to get on.
Listen, I'm with it, man, and I mean, let all your followers know I'm here for all the smoke too. I'm here for all the smoke. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
Hey, they love you, man. They love you. I'm telling you, go look at your followers on Instagram, man. You'll see some familiar names.
Yo, Melly Mel, I'm starving. My phone about to die. You know I was out there protesting and marching. I only came home before curfew because, you know, I got love for you and your platform. I wanted, you know, to give my opinionated facts and give the LES my point of view what happened today during the protest, which was a beautiful thing, beautiful nonviolent thing. Shout out to all the local Lower East Side leaders, you know, that was out there. There was a lot of leaders out there. I don't want to mention too many names and give out any shout outs, but there were a lot of Lower East Side leaders out there representing and holding it down. LES, stand up.
all right, definitely, man. But as I did last time, but this time I'm gonna end it on some YBC, Mr. Bacon, Egg, and Cheese himself, Big Belly Jelly, man.
You already know.
Got to. All right, yo, fellas, I love y'all. Thanks for coming on, man. Till next time, all right? Stay safe out there. You know the vibes. Look at my man, he can't go nowhere. Look, he's still in. He's here for it. Alright, bro.
I gotta be patient, so my mama, we gon' make it. If a nigga keep on hating, we gon' pesos, he get hooked up to our IV. Lay low, go to IP in the lobby. Brody hit my line for the choppy, I'm like copy. Ooh, nah, I can't trust nobody. Always went to school until 30, she tried to line me. Last night, all of these bitches was on my body.